So I just heard that there's a planet out there somewhere the scientists have just discovered where it rains molten glass. At like something like 400 miles an hour sideways or something crazy like that. Rains molten glass. How about that? Next time you get a little drizzle, think about the alternative. It could be molten glass. And that should lead me to a discussion about death. Actually, specifically the fear of death and how that is the primary motivator in my life. Because I was doing some thinking. Because I was listening to Snap Judgment. If you've never listened to Snap Judgment, it's a show on public radio. I think it's produced by the Public Radio Exchange, hosted by Glenn Washington. And anyway, I just listened to the Apocalypse episode, which I assume originally broadcast on the radio back in December. But, I catch up on a lot of these things via the podcast and the NPR News app or whatever. Anyway, point is, there's a lot of stories about the end of the world, or at least the figurative end of the world, some stories about the literal end of the world, some stories about the biblical apocalypse, etc., etc. I'm not going to get into all of that because I'm going to save that for a special occasion, which will probably happen next week. But it did get me thinking about, because there was a lot of talk of death, and there were some stories about cremating bodies and stuff like that. And I know I've talked about this before. I'm not super comfortable with death. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like the idea of me not having the choice to say, hey, I would like to live this long or that long. Like, I'm a big kind of free will kind of guy. And I feel like death is the ultimate, F you to free will, right? I mean, because it really is. None of us choose. Well, there are some people who choose, but I kind of tend to believe that they're really just a product of their own mental dysfunction and or atmospheric situation. But that's a discussion for a whole different time. Anyway, it occurred to me that all the things I've done in my life, and I think part of the reason why I'm such a friggin' busybody, it's because I have this fear of death, but not in the physical sense, but in the sense that, I'm afraid of not having a legacy to leave behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm afraid of my existence on this planet not mattering, like not leaving any sort of impact. I took this to some extremes in my younger years. I really thought that I was going to change the world in a big way. In my later years, or I guess in my middle years, I hope these are my middle years, speaking of death, I've come to realize that, I might just maybe be able to bring some entertainment to people, or, some temporary enjoyment through comics and stories and music or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's not a terrible motivator, is, the wanting to leave an impact on the planet and leave it better than the way you left it, which is why I really have trouble with, people who kill and people who, destroy things and people who, want to rule by killing their people, which I don't get that at all. That's a topic for a whole nother time. But, why would you want to leave the planet worse than when you came in? I mean, even if you're super righteous and you think that what you're doing is a means to an end that somehow is a greater good, ultimately you have to see that what you're doing is jacked up and is going to leave behind a jacked up legacy, right? I just don't get it. That's why I don't get people who do willful harm to others. I've hurt people accidentally in my life through the course of relationships or whatever, but I mean, that's normal stuff, right? That's not it's not malicious intent. We're going to go through a tunnel here in a second, and it's going to get dark, and you're not going to be able to see me, and all you're going to be able to do is hear my lovely voice, and this was poor planning. But Brian McCormick said he likes my driving vlogs, so you're going to get a driving vlog, so I hope you like it. Ooh, maybe it's going to be like a cool Matrix. Ooh, yeah, it's like a cool Matrix style, do-do-do-do-do-do. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know that I really have a point. I just wanted to share that I had, now it's dark. Super awesome. Wait, let me turn on a light. That's kind of cool. Now it's secret hidden cam. Let me try 2 lights. That didn't really make a difference. Anyway, I don't know, something to think about. What motivates you? What gets you up in the morning besides, let's say, a paycheck or your cat waking you at 4:30 a.m., which, mine does. I want to know what makes you tick. What drives you to do the things that you do? And if you've never thought about it before, now might be a good time. I'm going to merge and I'm going to stop. I'm out of here. Bye.